The Team Never Quit podcast is sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. At Navy Federal Credit Union, they believe every day is Veterans Day. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, and subscribing. We love doing this every single week. We've got to kick this thing off with a Patreon question of the day. It's kind of going to be, I think, a short one, but I'm going to ask anyways. Would you rather defend yourself with a hockey stick or a baseball bat?
Baseball bat. That depends if you're from the north or from the south, man. Like we don't have hockey sticks down
We don't.
here. I don't know
Yeah,
what the hell to
true.
do with that thing.
That's why I said baseball bat.
Baseball bat would be down here, right?
Well, you got to be pretty close, proximity-wise to the person with a baseball bat versus a hockey stick. You got the length. So are there pros and cons to each
the
one?
longer it is, the longer it takes to come around.
True that.
Probably be like the difference between fighting with a bow staff and some nunchucks.
Yes. What do you think, Brian?
Okay, couple of things. I would have to say that of all the questions I prepared for, that was one did not make the list. Number two is I'm thinking hockey stick, and here's why. Because it's easy to move. You can get a lot of blows in, and if it does get ripped out of your hands by maybe somebody Morgan or Marcus's size, it's easy. I'm much more confident I could fend off a hockey stick should it be turned on me than a baseball bat.
Oh, see, I never look like somebody's going to take something from me.
Because it takes longer to wheel it around. Yeah, I know. I don't think about it like that,
Understood.
but I understand.
We all have different approaches.
That's good perspective. We're going to write that one down.
I guess, yeah, it all depends on how it's coming at you and you're coming at it, I guess.
That's fair. Well, great question. If you want to ask your questions to the guest, to the host, make sure you join us, patreon.com/teamneverquit. We've got some great community stuff in the works. We've got some cool stuff we're about to do for you guys. You're not going to want to miss that. We've got a great guest in store. Brian Kilmeade is a television and radio presenter and political commentator for Fox News. You guys probably know him best as a co-host for Fox and Friends. Brian is a father of 3, New York Times bestselling author. Brian, welcome to the show.
And just one hell of a model American.
Oh, thanks, man. From you.
Model American. That's right. You are, man.
Not in your class.
We
But,
always
you guys
did.
actually fight. You fought for the country. I feel terrible
Buddy,
that.
hey, there's not too many folks like you that stand up for what we believe in and go fist to cuff with everybody every single day. And you're inside the borders. We had to go somewhere else to kick butt. You do it here. Hey, God bless you, buddy, for sticking it up.
I appreciate it.
Best way somebody heard Colin was like, man, I wake up every morning in my bedroom and you're the only dude I let in there.
Well, good.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, I hear you like get your pants and then Deuce's doing his thing and we can get into that in a minute, but it's a real thing. Like y'all's voice and that tone that comes out, it wakes us up now. Cause we've been doing it so long, it's become a pattern. It's like, we watch it now just to see y'all.
Well, thanks. I do say, Morgan, in case you did not get up early, Marcus does text us a lot to let us know he's ready to go.
Oh, well, you're lucky I don't
always
have
say
your
get
number.
Dressed. I always say get because I know when people get up in the morning, if they're getting up around 6 or 7, so they're going to do this. Probably the time. At which time, what's the first thing you do? You got to get dressed. So they're thinking about staying in bed. But no, I'm going to tell them, come on, guys, get dressed. Let's get going. We're ready to start.
It's like a live motivational alarm clock.
That's my image.
Yeah, I get up at 4:00. So I'm up before Marcus is. Like I said, I just don't have your number. Otherwise, I'd be blowing it up.
Back it up. I've always wanted to ask you this. If we had time to sit down and talk. How you got to the? I heard Hexus say this the other day. He was sitting in your spot. He's like, man, is it the Kilmeade corner or the Kilmeade curve? On the curvy couch? Curve, right.
We made the curve.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mess that up. And I started thinking, I was like, man, that's something. Like when the lights come on and we see who's on stage for us, everything in the morning, man. I always wondered, like, how did you wind up getting there? Because that's the top. You guys have been number one forever, for as long as since we were kids. Seems like.
Right. Well, a couple of things. Number one, so I was doing mostly sports coming out of college. It's exactly what I wanted to do is talk sports and news. But I thought sports was my quickest way through. I had really pretty good knowledge. I played soccer, but I didn't really follow pro soccer. That's why I played through college. Just okay. Wanted to be great, and I wasn't. And that was hard to get my head around. When you practice and you train, you're supposedly doing everything, and have that not pay off in the end, kind of, it broke my perfect game, so to speak. So I knew life wasn't going to be that smooth. I also knew at a young age life was going to be that smooth. My dad got in an accident when I was in 9th grade, died right there. Oh. We were pretty much living paycheck to paycheck growing up. And we actually knew, because my dad was just in the process of buying a business, and he was just about 3 weeks away from taking over the bar restaurant when he gets in this accident at 6 a.m. And after that, everything just seemed like a blur. You know, he was also my coach. So I wanted to play through high school. I was on a great team, an average Division II team. And I just wanted to be great, and I wasn't. I also was so tense. Well, when you guys know what it's like to perform under pressure and how much training that takes, I also knew that I wanted to do so good, so well all the time. I played so tense. I was always angry. So by the time I was ready to start at 22 to do broadcasting, I wasn't going to have to worry about a coach. I wasn't going to have to worry about someone benching me. If you fire me or you don't hire me, that's your choice, but I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going through, blow through the rejection letters, do the things I had to need. I had to get a lot better. And I always say it took me 12 years to get this job. When I got a job at Fox News, nobody knew what it was. It was 97. I would go to Manhattan. It wasn't seen in New York or any major market. CNN was locking up the game to make sure we didn't get coverage and clearance. But I didn't care. We had this great team, unbelievable vision, and we had a smaller staff, got paid less, and tried harder. And next thing you know, I watched the New York Yankees start from day one of the Dallas Cowboys, and you just watch this team being put together. And the next thing you know, you're winning title after title. But I was there when they were just picking out uniforms.
So going from sports into broadcasting, and when your dad died, I couldn't at that age, right?
Yeah.
When you're sitting there in that chaos, like what was the driving force behind that? That's what I'm curious in that, because you see the motivation and where it got you now. That fuel had to be there. Is it a shift in the motivation from making it go anger to angry to push it into something better? I mean, what drove that?
Yeah. I always think it's our job just to reach our potential, whatever it is, physical, mental, whatever it is, just reach your potential. And if the things don't work out, you can't blame people. So I always thought it was my responsibility to make something of my life early. So even if it didn't amount to it, I could always say hustle matters. And if you put everything into it, it doesn't break your way. You got to understand you're not in control of all these circumstances. We're seeing that now in Afghanistan. The way you guys fought, the battlefields you win, some idiot takes over the country and ruins your record. And you say, well, what could I do? Nothing. You're not the president. You're not the Secretary of State. But it doesn't take away from anything that you guys did in battle and the objectives you had and the goals you reached. If someone's going to screw up the game at the end, it's not your responsibility. The way I thought about it is that I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going through. And if that's a local news anchor or assignment reporter, I'd be very disappointed. But I'd be waiting on the side to make more money to invest to free me up financially. But when it took me 12 years to even make my age, so by the time I was 33, the most I'd ever made was maybe $28,000. And as I get this job, filling in 1 or 2 days a week and then getting the job full time, you never met somebody more appreciative. And that's what came out. But if I didn't have those 12 years and those 4 years of struggle in sports and the 4 years at high school, I don't think I would have appreciated this success so much. I don't take any day for granted.
Yeah. Because they didn't give it to you. You had to earn it.
Yeah. That's how you know you're in the right spot too. Because it didn't matter what they pay or what you were doing. You just wanted to be around it. And it kind of perpetuates that whole feeling. It's like growing in rank. When you go into the martial arts, everyone wants to be a black belt. But if you just walk in there and put it on, it kind of the same thing. When guys strap the trident on, it's like, man, it's like one thing or the other, but it doesn't carry the weight inside or out when people find out that you didn't earn it, right?
Emotional weight too.
Yeah. So starting at the bottom, it teaches you why you love it, because that feeling that drives you towards it, man. And the cool part is there's some things it won't apply to. Like you try to get interested in some things, man, it just won't take. But if you find out what you're really driving for, man, it will. Man, it'll
shows
hit you.
Every day that you're on TV, it shows how emotional and passionate you are about your job. If that was just like if they were to bring me in there and do that, I'd screw it all up. It wouldn't look sincere or genuine. Man, that's one thing that what you guys are on that every morning we're watching. It looks sincere and it looks genuine.
I'm turning on for some knowledge, man. And there are times they need to be like a Kilmeade second, where something I've seen you get so mad sometimes. Your facial expressions, the way you contain that. So it's impressive. I mean
Because I know we know you want to drop the F-bomb.
Man, you bitch. Throw something at the screen, man. I get it. Because, we are on the other side of the camera. Right? We're like, man, dude.
Say it. No, you won't.
We're thinking it. Right?
Right.
On the way up here, I was thinking, Talladega Nights, I was watching, like, when Ricky Bobby was like, man, I don't know what to do with my hands. So the training that I'm just curious, man, because before I got stuck out in the open, like when I got sent to you, I had formal training. Like they sat me down there, like, this is what you need to do. You got to sit with here. You got to talk like this.
I haven't had that yet.
And it was monotone. It was monotoned. It was like, you could tell it was like somebody trying to ask you questions. And then it's like a teacher student. You answer the questions. And then there's people that flow. I mean, you said that it's Fox and Friends. Y'all have a team. And that's like, man, we would see y'all hanging out if y'all weren't on TV. It's that kind of flow.
Right.
That
yeah,
thing.
The reason why just to more you, as you were saying that, one thing that Roger Ailes did and everyone else continues is when they hire you, they hire you. They don't hire the broadcaster, they hire you. And that's why you see Joey Jones, you see Pete Hegseth, they're contributors. Next thing you know, they're themselves and they get such dipped in on issues. They go, hey, you know what, you could probably host. And they're like, yeah, well, just be yourself. So you flow, you have respect to the camera, there's people on the other side of the camera, but for the most part, they hired you, not the broadcaster. That's why I don't think, like when I see people, I'm going to start a book tour now. My book comes out, the special is on the 7th, book comes out on the 2nd. I don't know when people are going to be watching this, but
we'll push all that for you. Don't worry.
Say that again?
We'll push it all out for you.
Yeah, no, thank you. But when I go to meet the people say, oh, you're going to go on tour, you're going to have big lines. I'm like, yeah, that's great. Because I like meeting these people and they feel like they know you.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, I know what your dogs look like. I know your kids are playing soccer together. I remember when you started in 97. I remember when you screwed this up. I remember when you had that interview. I remember when you filled in
right?
at night.
Hey, you remember this,
We're kind of going through life together rather than that broadcaster telling you the 7 big stories you need to know. I feel like I'm in conversation with people and we're telling stories that maybe I know a little bit more for now. I'm moving the story forward because of the contacts we have and the resources we get.
Sure, man. So y'all like the smart kids in the class.
Nobody ever said that to me before because I've been, I'm new to this. You're just having a conversation with the camera.
Yep. I consider that another person.
Okay. That's good. That's all I need somebody to tell me.
Yeah, like a robot or like it was AI or something. You just that's perfect advice.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird.
What else you got?
Our show is more like a slice of life. Like Peter Jennings and Dan Rather, those anchors, they come on and there's drums, kettle drums, and look out, there's the broadcaster. He's going to tell you in 26 minutes the biggest stories in the country. When you go to 24-hour news with the way we wanted to do, not the way CNN was doing it, you go, hi, guys, here's what's going on. This is the context. This is where reporters are telling us on the field. This is all the resources. Now we have world resources. Now we're using the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post. We got a weather channel, a business channel. I don't have to leave the building to get the best information. And they're giving it to me constantly on the phone. They're always going, okay, this just happened. Joe Manchin just came up and this was the question. He just got in the hall. Bum, bum, bum. Got it. Understood. So by the time I hop on your show or go to do the 7:00 show, or they ask me to fill in for Tucker, the story has moved ahead because it's a nonstop dialogue on the phone and the iPad.
All right, guys, we got to take a second to thank our friends over at Fight Camp. Halloween is done, which means the holidays are upon us. Thanksgiving's next, Christmas next. If you walk into any big box store, you see the Christmas trees and the Christmas lights and all the Christmas stuff, and that can be really stressful. It just doesn't slow down from here. I've got the perfect gift, though, for you guys. If you're looking for some stress relief, if you want to give someone the gift of stress relief, Fight Camp is the perfect thing. It brings the best workout in the world into your home, makes it fun. You can learn to box and kickbox from your house with access to world-class programming, elite trainers, premium equipment, and smart technology that turns your workout into an interactive experience. They offer thousands of classes with new workouts added each week, which means you're always going to find something you're looking for. They've got quick workouts so you can get those high intensity, maximum efficiency workouts in as little as 20 minutes, which means no excuses. You don't have to worry about time because you can get one in fast. And if you have no boxing experience, don't worry about it because Fight Camp has your back. They've created programs specifically designed to teach you the basics of boxing and kickboxing so you can and build that strong foundation. And they give you a lot of great data to see how you're actually performing on a week in, week out basis. It's a full package, which means you're going to get everything you need to start boxing from home, including a freestanding punching bag, boxing gloves, quick hand wraps, smart punch trackers. It takes up less space than you think. If you have enough room to do a push-up, you have enough room for fight camp. It is great for the whole family. No moving parts, no spinning wheels, which means it's safe for the whole family. It's an amazing way for them to get their energy out, learn something new, and share experience with the whole family. Now is the best time to get your fight camp, especially if you're looking to get that holiday gift. Take advantage of their holiday deal going on now. If you purchase this November, you're going to get an additional pair of gloves for free. That's right. If you're looking to do this with the family, having those extra pair of gloves, that's awesome. Just go to joinfightcamp.com/TNQP to get an additional pair of gloves for free all of November. Go to joinfightcamp.com/TNQP. If you've been thinking about it, stop wasting your time. Go get it. It's amazing. Joinfightcamp.com/TNQP.
I was watching the other day and Joey Jones was on there and someone was asking him because he was all, man, you look good. You look like you've been working out. I was like, man, I don't have to do legs. I don't have leg day. I almost fell
Did he
out.
say that on camera?
Yeah, he said it on camera. Y'all had him somewhere, man. And I think it was Pete was talking to him. It was one of the funniest things. I laughed so I had to leave the room, man.
So let's walk it back. Tell us about your childhood, where you grew up. We can hear it in your voice, but
Right. I would say I grew up on Long Island, very different from New York City and upstate New York. When you think about New York, if you haven't been there, think about Iowa. Upstate New York, it doesn't have a lot of money, so it's a depressed Iowa because they don't frack, even though there's fracking in the ground. It's criminal. With Pennsylvania and Ohio revitalized their economy, New York was about to do it, but Governor Cuomo was Governor Cuomo and decided not to. So the whole place is depressed except for certain pockets where there's racetracks and the Buffalo Bills. But the Long Island is suburban America. You got Queens, Nassau, Suffolk. Then you got the East End, which is as beautiful as it gets. On the North Fork, you got farms and wineries. On the South Fork, you got all the Hamptons and Montauk. So if you ever been out there, you could kind of go on vacation without going on vacation. So I live in the Nassau-Suffolk border. I went to Massapequa High School. I'm calling you from Massapequa now. So my friends from high school, I'm still in touch with about 10, 15 on a regular basis. And my wife I met in high school, and we graduated the same year, have a lot of the same friends. It's a lack of personal growth is what I'm trying to explain to you.
No, that happened to us too. Yeah, we had
That's
to go
how
through
we
the same
operate.
thing. Absolutely. Same
one.
Out in LA for 4 years, but besides that, I've been living here since back here since 95.
Bro, we were in that castle the other day. I didn't even know that was up there. That's the
I know.
second largest house in the country, isn't
yeah, I
it?
appreciate the invitation, fellas.
We didn't send you one. Dude, that thing was awesome. Just the grounds themselves and that whole the Mike Murphy Museum, everything up there, man. That was an awesome night.
Marcus,
Man.
did you have a chance to go see the museum or
Not yet. No, I will. No, I didn't go in there. I would wait until the grand opening.
Yeah, the Ohika Castle is where you were. I've only been there a few times. That's only 20 miles from my house, but it's one of the most beautiful places around. But Marcus was invited to stay the night. I was not.
Well, I didn't even get the invitation to show up. Hell, I parked cars with the
So you
best
don't feel
of them.
bad for him.
All right. And then, so New York, blood in the blood. We got it. I tell you what, so to this day, and I'm not embarrassed to say this, we were up at, it was 2 years after 9/11, and we were there for the memorial. Me and a bunch of my teammates were walking around the city on 9/11 in uniform. And let me tell you something. You want to talk about patriotic? I never felt more blessed to be an American than when I was walking around in New York
Oh
City.
yeah,
on that
I'd have
day.
never taken my uniform off. I'd have moved up there and just walked around, and it was great.
Yeah,
That was something.
I know. I mean, it is. I always felt it was patriotic. I think it really started dividing. Let me see. I think the Iraq War, I really felt like the division. Sometimes, like, you would talk to someone for an hour. I don't know if they're a Democrat or Republican. Now we probably all know within 5 minutes, maybe within 3 minutes.
Sure.
So this liberal city, like the people I'm around lean right, but they weren't all right. My dad was a Democrat. He was Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey. Loved those guys, FDR. But I mean, it was kind of blended. Now it's like really divided. But one thing I think is pretty clear. You would know better. But I don't know anybody that talks down the military. I just don't. I haven't seen it. I see it whether it's in airports, on planes, work in the streets. I think that's the one force still where people support. Has a lot to do with people understand that you chose, you weren't drafted.
Right.
And they also see that you guys are the best of a generation. I mean, this generation of warfighters is as good. They'll go down in history as one of the best. The way you guys adapted mid-war to every type of fighting. I mean, it's unbelievable what you did. They said, forget urban fighting. You guys end up mastering it.
Yep.
Oh, well, we don't have the Humvees aren't armed up. Well, I got you to meet the MRAP. Oh, well, these drones, why don't we put missiles on them? Boom, middle of a war. I mean, what you guys did in the middle of a war, from the most sophisticated technology to the way you fight, is unbelievable. And I think that's what people recognize.
Well, I didn't put it that way.
And we're different, man. We're the X-Men. A little bit of the old and a little bit of the new. Vietnam messed our country up, the way they treated the guys when they came back.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had the World War II guys, and that's our grandparents. And you're usually raised by them. So the baby boomers are in charge right now. They're in Vietnam. Like you can see the patriots and the hippies and that whole, the left, right, they hate each other. They always have. The Vietnam just kind of messed them up. And Afghanistan kind of ended the same way Vietnam did. And with us, we didn't have tech growing up. That came online right when we were coming in the military. So we're a little bit of the old school, a little bit of the new. We're hybrids. And we had to adapt and overcome. And we had to fight an enemy for 20 years with no face. So the generation, the baby boomers that hated war so much, they put their kids in a 20-year war with an enemy with no face.
It's a great point. I never thought about that.
And if you look at what the liberals and or the Democrats, Republicans, I always look at it like a family. So in the White House is mom and dad, Congress, aunts and uncles, and we're the family out in the middle. One side, it's like a divorced family right now, because if you upset the kids, what do? They throw a bunch of money at it so you'll shut up, right? And then the other ones want to tell you to enforce the rules. When the Republicans were in, it was great because the Democrats would complain so much that the Republicans get stuff done, right? They just would. And because of that, man, 20 years of war, we've grown up. Not only that, we're back now. And not only are we back, we have our own money. So when you throw our own money back at us, it doesn't mean anything. We're just kind of like watching this go down. It's a transition of power. My brother's stepping into it right now. That's the way it's.
I know. I just think it's so great that the military men and women are getting into lawmaking and going in there and seeing a greater purpose. That's why, Morgan, I'm so glad you're stepping in and doing this. I mean, who did you appear with? You guys made your own group now, right?
Unbeknownst to us. Yeah, so it's Derek, Eli, Brady, and Zinke and myself. And we did not coordinate this effort. I had no idea until Fox reached out to us and said, "Hey, there's 5 of you." And then it has come together. There's 60 veterans total across the country running for a congressional seat
that we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah,
that we
know.
know
There's
of.
more than that. When we get out, we separate. We go back to our cities and our towns and everything like that, and then guys just kind of getting out's tough. And we got our foothold and coming back in. You see them now. They're.
I don't take anything away from anybody that would run for public office, knowing what I know now. And I'm short in my campaign process. It's very brutal. It's politics. I was in D.C. with Secretary Perry and President Trump, so I saw politics firsthand. But I was shielded by the cabinet member that I was advising for, so the darts never landed on the dartboard. Me, but now they do. And like my other veterans, brothers and sisters that are running, we were always told early on, it's like, hey, look, you can either sit on the sideline and bitch and complain about it, or you can really be somebody and step up and do it. And so that's why we're coming out of the shadows, more or less. You've heard me say that before, but 70% of the House were veterans after World War II. It was 70, wasn't it? You know that stat off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's that high. I think I remember seeing it on the card, and only 17% now. Or
17% now. Yeah, I hope that we do get a larger percentage. It's perspective. It's humility. It's respect for it's respect for Americans, but it's also respect for country. And we have that.
Well, it gives a grander appreciation of what America is, because if you haven't had time to fight for it, and then you're in office and somebody complains to you or bitches to you about something, man, you just, instead of understanding where they come from, you don't understand. You take it away from them.
Well, you said it best. Your position that you have right now, you fought your ass off to get there. How much do you respect being there? How much do you care for that position?
I mean, it's unbelievable. That's why when I almost think it's funny when people come up to me and go, you just on Tucker show, you just did the 7 o'clock. John Roberts asked you to fill in. You did the morning show, you did the radio show. Yeah. Why would I say no? This is the job I worked hard to get. What am I in a big rush to go? I gave up the hobbies or other stuff. Kids are old enough where I'm not missing soccer or back to school night. So I'm going to go. It's like a big gym. Okay, 1 minute you're playing lacrosse. The next minute you're playing dodgeball. The next minute you're playing soccer or baseball. I'll stay here as long as gym's in session. So that's why I appreciate like being a chance to do it. There's so many people on the outside that don't. But you know, it's good. Also, the one thing about Fox, it's so influential. You actually feel like you sometimes can get things done. If you highlight a story, and next thing you know, they're talking about it on the House or Senate floor. You know, like if you do that story and the next show does this story, all of a sudden the dialogue in the country can change. So that's another good news.
You guys can move the needle.
Yeah. So how do y'all police? Do y'all police yourselves? I mean, how do y'all control in the media world? I mean, there's got to be a hierarchy. It's got to be age and rank and time on air, right? So your air time is your rank time. How do y'all? Because it moves so fast.
I don't pick it, Marcus. It's very much like the military in that you got you have the second floor makes the decisions, great big decisions. The smaller decisions, they're on my floor, like the 21st floor, and they'll meet and they'll say, Brian, we don't know if you're available Christmas week to fill in for Tucker. See, I know I'm doing Fox and Friends. I know I'm doing the radio show. And then after that, the 7 o'clock's now a rotation. They'll ask me what weeks I want to do. And they'll ask me, do I still want to do the morning show? And then Tucker will go on vacation, and I'm probably the first or second on the depth chart there. And I'll fill in for Laura, too. And on the weekends, I'll do Jesse and Dan. I've only filled in for Jesse right now on the weekend. Have I filled in for somebody else? I think that's it. So like, it's up to them to call me up, and they'll just text me, are you available these days? God. So you don't really pitch it. You don't say, I'd like to fill in. That's like a meeting with somebody else to see if they want to open you. Like they have their own vision that they want to do. It's kind of like going up to the coach in the middle of the game and say, put me in. They know where you are, and they decided not to. Don't bother me. And other times they put you in. You don't say, why am I going in?
We are supported by Athletic Greens. If you have a hard time getting in all the nutrients that you need in a day, maybe you're the kind of guy that goes to fast food restaurants often. Maybe you're the guy that's got so much on your plate, you're super stressed, you just don't have time to make those right eating choices. Maybe you aren't getting to the gym as much as you'd like. AG1 by Athletic Greens is the category-leading superfood product. They bring comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition to everybody, and it's super easy. That's the thing that I love the most about Athletic Greens is I've bought all these products, I've bought into all these companies that give you supplements for this and supplements for that. You know, they just clutter your cabinets, they clutter your counter. Honestly, you don't even know what you're taking half the time. You don't know what is what. You don't remember what you bought. You just take that one scoop of AG1, you mix it with your favorite drink, water, juice, whatever it may be, and it's going to contain 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, a multi-mineral, a probiotic, green superfood blend, and more, all in one convenient daily serving. The special blend of high-quality, bioavailable ingredients and a scoop of AG1 work together to fill those nutritional gaps in your diet. I get it. It can be really hard with all the stressors of life to get the things that you need like you're supposed to, but they've done it for you. It's going to help support energy and focus. It's going to aid with gut health and digestion. It will support a healthy immune system, effectively replacing all of those other products, all those other pills with one healthy, delicious drink. Every morning here lately, I'm trying to cut my weight, so I'm drinking breakfast smoothies for breakfast. I take that one scoop of AG1, drop it into my breakfast smoothie, and that's the way I'm getting it in. I know I'm getting those 75 things that I need to be getting every single day. It's lifestyle friendly, so whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it contains less than 1 gram of added sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything while keeping it tasting good. Join the movement of athletes, lifeleets, moms, dads, rookies, first-timers, team never quitters, and everyone in between taking ownership of their daily health and focusing on the nutritional products they really need in the simplest manner possible. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you guys an immune-supporting free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You need to head over to athleticgreens.com/TNQ today. Again, visit athleticgreens.com/TNQ to take control of your health and give AG1 a try.
I tell you what, man, I know you know this better than anybody, but you obviously love what you're doing more than anything. Otherwise, I was going to ask you, man, when you going to take a break? when you go on vacation?
Now, yeah, I'll go on vacation the weekend before Christmas and New Year's. But right now, it's the busiest time. I haven't done this in 2 years. So I got the president and the freedom fighter out. So it's so hard to be able to do speaking engagements. You guys can go do it. If Bank of America calls you up and says, I need a keynote speaker, nothing could stop Morgan or Marcus or both of you to go do that gig. For me, if I go to do that, they ask me to go do it, and then Bank of America is involved in a scandal or is involved in a hedge fund in China. Who's the keynote speaker? Then it's a problem. So I keep getting rejected. So I form my own stage shows where I'm able to go over, and I call it it's called America Great from the Start. And I just talk about what George Washington did with his firing, what Thomas Jefferson took on Islamic extremism, what Andrew Jackson fights off the British and Wellington's troops that just defeated Napoleon in the Battle of New Orleans. Sam Houston, how he wins not only the Alamo, but goes and finishes him off, loses in the Alamo, but finishes him off at San Jacinto. And now this one is the president freedom fighter. So what I'm doing now is putting them all together on stage. So I have little interstitials where you see the video with the books about a minute 10, and then I'll expand on it, throw some quotes up. And my hope is that people will realize what a great country we have. Even though we're not perfect, I think what makes us great is that we try to be. And so I'm able to put that on stage. So I'm getting ready to do that in West Virginia, Orlando, Ponte Vedra, and Clearwater, and do some appearances in Staten Island, Long Island, in Atlanta, in Chicago, Indiana, Kentucky. So I'm going to start like a mini tour in the next week, and then I'll take a break.
Man, perfection. We're
Good
talking
for
about
you.
that. Yeah. Talk about what is perfection. You can work, but I mean, one thing that's perfect to somebody else isn't perfect to a lot of people. It's like that imperfection is what drives it. It's always
I
trying to
hope you never get to
going,
perfection
man.
because you're going to stop working.
You're going to stop working.
But I mean, that's what I look at. For example, I didn't want to really jump into racial issues. There's really very little upside. There's always something you could say that's racially insensitive. So when I looked at Fred, I said, what's going to be my next book? So as here we come up on the Civil War.
I got a question about that. So when you put sensitivity into the news, like when y'all, and does that come from, I mean, that happens just by us watching you all the time. Like, because there's a difference between fact and truth. People who grow up in different neighborhoods or different parts of the country, man, what you can say to them that's true in that area that wouldn't be true somewhere else. And that's by laws or just the way people grow up. And then there's the fact. And then when y'all get out and you tell us the facts, and then when you put emotion into it, that kind of drives, that steers it. Right. Absolutely. I mean, I guess it would be almost impossible to be a journalist because you'd have, back in the day when they were so dull, you say they were dull, they had to be the, this is the facts, this is what we got. Because if you inflect in any way on any word, it changes the entire conversation. 100%. I mean, there's times when, I can't even imagine how many times it's probably happened to you, or if it has, that you had to put a story out when it came out later, or it changed so fast by the time that it got to you, it wasn't even what happened. Well, y'all are the face that put that out there. It's like the kid in school that's talking smack. They don't know anybody under you feeding you that stuff. So I would imagine whoever works underneath y'all to get y'all that intel, those guys are critical. Yep. The intel officers in our community, man, because we get killed. And so do y'all. Hypothetically, man, if y'all get bad gouge and put it out, that's a career ender. The hardest job in the damn media should be them dudes.
Right. I mean, we got two things. You tell the story and then you can comment. So the first thing, for example, I'm trying to think today, for example, it comes out that New York has gotten something like 6,000 unaccompanied minors, teenagers, dumped into their school system at the cost of $24,000 per kid without even checking with the superintendent and principal. All right. It's outrageous. And know where they put them? Not in the rich areas, in the working class areas. They can least afford it, where they're paying the teachers the least. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is the story. I'm going to hit you with the numbers. I'm going to work it through. So if I'm by myself, I'm with Ainsley and Steve, let them add their element to the story. Then I'm hitting you with opinion. But I'm not going to start off and I'm not going to say, I'm about to tell you the most outrageous story you'll hear all day, because I don't want to put my hand on the scale. I'm going to tell you what's going on. And then I'm going to tell you my perspective. That's what the show allows me to do. But Peter Jennings and those guys, Walter Cronkites of the world, you'd be surprised. They would put their hand on the scale with looks and tone. And you would later find out the Vietnam era says that Walter Cronkite tanked that war.
Tanked the whole on that one. Yeah, I heard about it. I saw that.
So they're telling it, but they're pretending to be equal. they're pretending they did not take putting a oar in the water and telling you who to vote for by a look, by the way they give one side more power than the other side. They pretend as if they're giving you both sides. So I just heard a straight newscast. No, you didn't. And later I'm reading Tom Brokaw's book. I'm in page like 50. He basically tells me he's a Democrat. His whole life he's been a Democrat. I'm like, okay, I don't know. Maybe is that the reason why you seem to be giving Bush a hard time for all these years? Not that is that why when I see you watch, when I see you commenting on Meet the Press, it always tends to be the Republican ends up being the moron. Yet you told us you're a straight news guy. So I feel good that I'm allowed to be myself.
Yeah.
Let's take a second to thank our friends over at Navy Federal Credit Union. Without their support, we would not be able to put out new content every single week. We are super grateful for them. And as I'm talking about that, something comes to my mind. Veterans Day is just around the corner. And a lot of companies out there will make a social media post. They'll run an ad for 1 or 2 days to thank the veterans. I'd say it's very rare that companies actually thank veterans in a way that is truly meaningful. And Navy Federal Credit Union, every day is Veterans Day. They've got resources like Best Careers After Service, Best Cities After Service. They offer veteran employment assistance partnerships with nonprofits like US Vets. They are thanking veterans in a way that really is meaningful. They offer personal finance counseling. They're a top VA home lender. The list goes on and on. If you are looking for a bank that supports you, that cares about you, they have a growing community of over 1.7 million veterans. That right there is the kind of bank you want to do business with. If you want to learn more about all they've got going on for veterans, you can learn more at NavyFederal.org/veterans. Remember, Navy Federal Credit Union is insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender.
So it doesn't even exist, right? Straight news. It's like, I guess that's why there's so many different outlets. And that's a problem when you're living out here. It's like when you turn it on, everyone has a different opinion. And opinions are great. Everyone's got one, right? From 40 to 60, or from 0 to 40, you have an opinion. Then your perspective from 40 to 60, wisdom drops in after that. So, I mean, you get to the point now where we've been around enough to you look who's talking to you. And then you listen. Because you can understand a point of view from a teenager to a 20-year-old. Like all them kids that are tearing up the cities up in Seattle, if you ever watch them, you ever actually watch how they move? Because there's a difference between looking at something, seeing something, and watching it. But if you watch them when they go to swing baseball bats or they don't look right. They're not supposed to be doing that. They haven't practiced that. It looks awkward, right?
They don't look like athletes.
Right. Which means they're not good at what they're doing. They're just out there causing mischief. All right. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, when it gets to that point with the riots, I don't think you have to pretend as if. I mean, we have this stuff in MSNBC, them saying this seems a mostly peaceful riot, and these buildings are raging on fire behind
That's my
them.
point, man. I was like, how did that?
Yeah, I mean, when did that happen? Why is Fox give an opinion? Dr. Fauci's on there saying, "I'm sure the coronavirus does not spread in the riots in the street, but he's sure they spread at football games." Yeah. I mean, the minute you see doctors giving up all their credibility because they have a point of view, don't get on me.
So how do we? Well, we get that. How do we get that back? One day at a time, right? That's how we get it back. I mean, once the FBI and Morgan, the CDC
and for you as a politician, I just watched Joe Manchin. I don't know when people are seeing this, but I watched him on Monday. He's a Democrat. And he got up there and he said, inflation is too high. We have a bipartisan bill. I compromised on it. You wouldn't even vote on it. I am tired of dealing with my own party who is putting hidden time bombs in this reconciliation bill, who doesn't want to score it to see if it's going to add to the inflation and the debt. I am not voting for it. And the other time he walked up and he took on the cameras and he said, I'm not a liberal. I'm a moderate. You guys know me. Why do you think I'll sign off on this social safety net? I'm a free enterprise guy. I'm from an energy state. Why do you think I would try to destroy energy in my own state? I watch Henry Cuellar, a Democratic congressman at the border, say this administration has fallen prey to their left. They're not paying attention to people like me who know in Texas what it takes to seal the border. They think they're helping their Hispanic vote. Their Hispanic constituency is turning on them. So this is Morgan, and Morgan especially, but Marcus, in answer to your question, that's how to be an effective politician. Worry about your country first, your party second. That's the clue. He doesn't understand. What people don't understand is Fox doesn't vote for Republicans. I can't even tell you what Carly Shimkus or Neil Cavuto or Tucker is going to vote for. We don't have any idea. We don't sync it up. But we care that people that care about the country. If you are for an open border, you don't care about the country. If you were to destroy the oil and gas business, you don't care what's best interest of the country. If you're going to stand down the army to talk about white supremacy, you don't care about the country because they're not doing what's best interest. And when we take them on, we're not going to bat for Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with it. It's not even subtle. It's a wrong and right.
You know, we were talking about this earlier, man. We kind of create our own problems inside our community because one side's not getting along with the other one. And somebody told me this the other day. You know what the average age is of the people on an aircraft carrier that run it? 19. 19 years old.
Get at it.
19 years old.
That's a city.
That's a floating
city.
city. They run that.
19-year-old.
They during these wars that we had to fight, there's two of them, man. They'd send a handful of us over to take governments down and set stuff back up with people that didn't want to have to do it, and we maintained it till y'all pulled us out. So anything that we want to get done could get done easily as long as you didn't argue about it.
Yeah.
Every time it used to be politics, man. There was a neutral zone, like at the table. It's kind of like talking about sex. Right, you just gotta, there's some things you know that some people disagree with, but there is an equal boundary, that gray area, that neutral zone, where it's like, hey man, that is what it is, and that's why you boil it down to the states, 50 different states of people, and then inside the town, like some crazy percentage of over 50% of all people don't even leave the town they grew up in, and I might be lowballing that number. Can you imagine
that? It used
that?
to be 70 and 80%.
Man, because the further you travel, the more you learn. You see why people kind of see things the way they do, and then age comes into that and seals it home. But one thing we know for sure is like if nothing's getting done and everything's stalling, everyone's arguing and complaining, if they're coming outside of those doors to bitch to us, I mean, think about that. They're the ones that are supposed to be going there and fixing it, and they're coming out complaining back to us. So that ought to tell you they're in the wrong spot. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Because the one thing our leadership never did was they never argued in front of us. They just heard us complain and they went in there and fixed it. And there needs to be a difference.
We always talk about how undivisive we would be. I don't know if I said that right, but if our elected leadership came out as a united front with humility instead of blasting it out.
Call them names. I mean, it's just to get you on TV. And some of the journalists, they implement it, they call them names over and over again, and it just gets so to where people just don't like hearing that. My mother calls it being ugly. It's like, you guys are so pretty on TV, man. If you keep talking all that smack, you will eventually look ugly in some people's eyes. And once you get into that realm, man, it can't go away because then they think you're hateful.
Yeah, no, listen, I hear you. It shouldn't be personal. You should not be talking about how tall somebody is, how fat they are, how thin they are, just keep keep that stuff out of it. It cheapens your argument.
What does it even have to do with anything?
No, I know. Listen, I hear you.
I'll tell you what, man, that's I try and tell my brother this. All right, so when you're camera etiquette, when you're sitting there, and I just want to know this myself, it's like the camera is a person. You're talking to them, right?
Yeah.
You ever had a hamstring flare up or there's got to be, I need to, tell me those stories later.
I want to hear something funny learn something that we don't know about.
Right. But I mean, the practice is just like with anything else. It's just discipline, right? To sit there and keep from hands, touching your freaking crank and all that, picking your nose.
Yeah, I pretty much don't pick my nose.
Do you know that for a fact?
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever.
How do you do that? How do you keep it from out of
Right. We have breaks. We go 8 minutes at a time. Then we have a chance to touch ourselves, and then we go back to normal.
All right, guys, Halloween is over, which means the holidays are just around the corner. And if you're looking for the perfect gift, you've heard me talk about this sponsor before. Paint Your Life has been one of the biggest sponsors of the Team Never Quit podcast. They support us for the last few years. They've been great to work with, and their product is incredible. I'm telling you, if you're looking for the perfect Christmas gift, Paint Your Life seriously has the coolest product on the market. If you're looking to give your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, your best friend, your spouse, something that they're going to cherish forever, something that's truly truly unique, something personal, paintyourlife.com. They're going to take any of the photos that you have and they're going to turn it into an original painting done by one of their world-class artists, done by hand at a price you can truly afford. You get to choose from a team of world-class artists and work with them until every single detail is perfect. You can order a custom-made hand-painted portrait in less than 5 minutes. And with Paint Your Life's compilation portraits, you can bring together family members who've never even had the chance to meet, or create a portrait of the whole family without the need for everyone to be there for a family photo. It is meaningful, it is personal, and it will be cherished forever. It makes the perfect holiday gift for someone you love, or even for yourself. I love the painting I got of the dogs. I plan to get a few more done for some family members this year for Christmas because it's that cool. It's that special. And they're going to take care of you guys for the holidays at paintyourlife.com. There's zero risk. If you don't love the final painting, your money is refunded, guaranteed. And right now, as a limited time offer, you're going to get 20% off your painting. That's right, 20% off. Plus, they're going to cover the shipping too. To get this special offer, text the word TNQP to 64,000. That's TNQP to 64,000. Text TNQP to 64,000. Paint your life. Celebrate the moments that matter most.
It's pretty much, sometimes because the couch is so casual, that sometimes you do, maybe, you turn too much or you leave your papers all over the place. You'll get sometimes they talk to you in your ear a lot. It's really like hosting with somebody else, because you guys have that when you do remote interviews, right?
Yeah.
So they're talking to us the whole time. They'll be saying to us, Brian, this got to be your last question, or let's end with something patriotic. They'll be in back, or you just misspoke and said it was Rick Scott instead of Tim Scott. Fix it. So I actually feel like I'm hosting with also the whole control room. I like having that constantly in my ear. Sometimes you say something good or bad, and they'll also like comment on it. Like, oh, aren't you fired up today?
So
I always got somebody in my ear.
Oh, like a voice. Yeah. What a great voice to have in your head, reassuring you all the time. Like there's an actual voice in there. What's one of the things that happens?
But I got a lot of sarcastic too. It's the same thing.
Has to,
it's
right?
Like you guys when you hang out. It's like, oh, Brian, did you even look in the mirror before you picked up that suit? God. So here I am in the fourth minute of the show.
All right, so when everybody watches this on the show, yeah, if anybody, if they watch this on the show, Morgan and I are going to sneak into the booth and please give us Brian's ear in the morning without you knowing it. I would have a blast with that.
Yeah. So what's next, big man? We know you're busy, so you got now? We got a book coming out.
My next big this project is the President and Freedom Fighter. It's Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln, and their battle to save America's soul. And the backdrop is the Civil War. And the lead up is what was happening in our country at the time in the South and the North, what led us to that moment. But I also tried to highlight, for some reason, America always gets the right person at the right time, and more than likely, it's the most unlikeliest person. Who would have picked a B actor like Ronald Reagan? Who people who knew him growing up never thought that he was going to lead us country to a difficult time. Who would have picked up Harry Truman, the guy barely ends meet. He spent most of his 30s feeling like a loser on his tractor in his house in Missouri. He ends up being one of our most important presidents. Ulysses S. Grant. I mean, this guy, as you guys know, he had an alcohol problem. He got out of the military. He's a backup tanner to his younger brother, wondering what's going to happen of him. The Civil War breaks out. He gets called as a captain. He's such a great war fighter. He rockets up. And then after Andrew Johnson comes in comes Grant to save the country twice. And that becomes clear. And then this Frederick Douglass, born a slave, never knew his family, was able to be sold 2 or 3 times, has such a thirst for learning, found a way to read and write, and found a way to get freedom after a second try. And within 7 years of escaping, writes his own autobiography, becomes an international bestseller, an international lecturer in intellect, and helps lead the abolitionist movement to help America be a more perfect union, only teaming up with this Midwesterner born in poverty to 2 illiterate parents who many people would always describe as odd looking and gangly and with chronic depression. These 2 people end up coming together at the exactly right time to bring America through our most difficult time. Mm-hmm. So I thought if I did that book to tell this story, honestly, about how bad it was in the South and in the North, where America was and how we fought to make it better, I thought that the people that like the news, who are patriotic, would like that story. So that comes out tomorrow
Bro,
So that's my big obsession.
man, I can't wait to read your biography. Like when you sit down to write that all out, like what you learned. Because we were talking about this earlier with a guy, and he was saying, people, you see them on their Pelotons or they're working out, and they're like, hey, what are you doing, man? Like, oh, I'm working out. We're like, yeah, I see that. But do you know what for? And we were talking about like the Apple Watches, all the data. It's like, man, they collect all this data. And then people was like, man, we have all this data. We don't know what to do with it. And I was like, well, that means you need a different type of person to transfer that. What every one of those books that you wrote, the lessons learned out of that. Like what happened after that? Like all the people that you interviewed from us. I mean, think about that. All the people that came across your desk and where they were then, where they are now, and that lifestyle and what it taught you and what it can teach other people. It's like a lessons learned book.
Well, I mean, here's the most fundamental lesson is that no matter what circumstances you're in, you don't have to end up there. And nobody would have picked these two guys to do anything significant in their life, let alone be one of the most significant to ever walk the earth. So don't tell me how bad your circumstances are. This guy was born a slave. It was a crime to teach an African-American, a black man, to read or write. They had no rights in this country. They had to work just to get educated. And when they got educated, they just tried to help other people and make America live up to its Constitution and its Declaration of Independence. Instead of saying, screw this country, I'm out of here. I love this country. I'm going to make it better. And Lincoln, same thing. Abusive dad. Mom dies at 9, working 20 hours a day in the fields that he hates, finding a way to read and write and learn and become this intellect while at the same time a big physical guy, constantly wrestling, having challenges to him, astounding people along the way. So I know a lot of people watching us right now and say, well, I couldn't be a Navy SEAL like Marcus and Morgan. I could not be a best-selling author. I could never run for office. I didn't have the intellect to do this. It's all it is if you need to know that if you need to see an example of overcoming obstacles, pick up Andrew Jackson's book. Don't read mine if you don't want to. But you read, this guy was orphaned and he was raised by his town, his county, his country. And all he wanted to do was get back at the British and give back to his country. I mean, there was no social safety net to help Andrew Jackson. There was no social security. He was finding a way. He should have been a rebel, or she should have been a criminal. No. Instead, he became a self-taught lawyer and then a famous general and a 2-term president. That's the American dream. And you can get examples if you search for them everywhere in history.
Mm-hmm. It's almost as if you're looking at something and that phrase, I could never be able to do that, runs through your eyes, that's exactly what you'd be great at. Right. I mean, whoever taught you the opposite way taught you wrong. That's absolutely the trigger when you're sitting there staring at something or you're thinking about something like, well, I can never get that done. That's the way. Not only could you get it done, you do great at it. It's just each one of those blocking roadblocks or everything that's designed to keep you to learn it. Just like I said, piece by piece.
No, I hear you. But I mean, I know for one thing, I do not think I had the athletic ability to be special operator. I watched what you guys do. I've seen it. I've talked to all you guys. I don't think I would have that, but I would love to have had that military background to have said I served. But when I was graduating, I think there was maybe 3 guys in my class that joined, and I was like, "Why you joining the Navy? Why?" Well, I don't know what I want to do. Okay. I remember my cousin got in trouble. He's about 10 years older than me. And the judge said to him, you can either go to juvenile center or you can go to the Marines. So he's like, I'll go to the Marines. So that was the attitude in the 70s and early 80s about the military. I think if I was coming up now, I think there would be something much more desirable. The packages are much better too, but that is one big regret I have. But athletically, I don't think I could do what you guys do.
You'd be surprised.
Take the name off of it and the military concept, right? They're like, hey man, if you don't have anything to do and you want to go on adventures around the world, it's like, do you have a boat? Yeah, we got a lot of boats. We got planes. I got buddies that got jets, guns, tanks. Me and this joker right here have been around the world more times than we count. I've been in helicopter crashes and gunfights and seen stuff that no one else has seen, and all just because we threw that uniform on because we didn't know what we wanted to do. Being in the military is a nuclear family. It's what America is actually all about. But you check in every morning to make sure you're not dead, and they feed you, And not only that, it makes you have a skill set. And it take you everywhere. And I mean, the more you put in, the more you get out. It's just like with anything else in this country. And it was man, we've had a blast. Had a blast with it.
Give us we'll close we'll start closing out and we'll get you to tell us
where they can get the book.
Thanks. Oh, totally it's a drew a blank, but we always ask, hey, give us your best never quit advice. Something you carry with you.
I would think number one, and this might be counterintuitive to you guys, don't get caught up with results. If you give your all and it doesn't go your way, you did not fail. Your success is just delayed. It's not there yet. Something else is coming. The only time you fail is when you quit. So just keep at it. This person thinks you're terrible. This person's not going to hire you. This girl turned you down. This guy turned you down. The house didn't go through. The down payment didn't happen. My investor that I invested with ended up being duplicitous and didn't put in the place he did. Keep going. You keep going, keep through it. What is your goal? And you decide when it ends. I think you have a responsibility, no matter who you are, is to live up to your potential. Whatever that is, talk to people, use them as resources. And I found through everything that I may or may not have viewed as accomplished, the most rewarding thing to me is helping other people. If I could help somebody get a job or an opportunity or get into college or help them pay something, that to me feels better than any getting on the bestseller list or finding out that, that I got this show or I'm doing this special. There's one thing about helping other people that is a superpower. And that's why, Marcus, you show up at all your events, and Morgan, you guys are constantly doing stuff for other people. I just find that to me is the most rewarding thing.
Absolutely, hands down, 100%. The best I've ever felt now and doing in the life that we've had is when he and I started like giving back that way. People say wearing the uniform is the same thing. I was like, no. I'm talking about like the everyday stuff you can do, like go out and help somebody. And it's the little things. It comes back on you. It does, man. It's like the best currency there is. Imagine
guys, let me tell you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a mom or dad call you up and say, I'm having a problem with my 11th grader, my 9th grader? And if you could show up 6'5" special operations guy and who's best-selling author and decorated military and talk to that kid and you find out that you put that kid back on the straight and narrow, I would argue that that's almost as good as getting pinned with a medal for you guys.
It does. Oh,
way better. Even better.
Way better.
Thousands times better.
Because it's walking proof.
Yeah.
Walking proof.
You got to be able to inspire people and motivate people, give them goals.
Okay. Brian, hey, where can people follow you? Where can we get your book? How do we help and support you?
On the tour and everything?
Well, the President Freedom Fighter, Frederick Douglass Abraham Lincoln and the Battle to Save America's Soul is out. If you just want to go to my website, you get it personalized, or you go anywhere, you get books. And I have this 36 stop. There's an excellent chance that I might be in your town. Anyone who's ever watching right now. So go to briankilmeade.com, just click on book tour. And if you're there, just register because this COVID environment, they want to know who's coming. Or how to plan. So if you just do that, I hope to see everybody in person.
We look forward to it.
That's awesome. Thanks for doing this again, bro, man.
Really, tell me.
I enjoy it every time.
Been looking forward to this one, buddy.
And Marcus, I think you agree with me. One word for Morgan: win.
That's right.
I didn't get in to lose, partner.
All right, go do it. Bye, guys.
One last question, man. This is for me, man. After all these years you've been doing this and everything that comes through there, I mean, that information that you have to feed us, good, bad, and different, man. There are days, even when in the morning, we're like, man, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get out of bed. Can somebody I would call somebody else to come in and stuff like that. Just to push through that you do. All I want to know is you do have those, right?
No, not that going to work. The only time is sometimes I'm dead tired, but I have not missed a day of work.
That's my point. It's like no matter what, you kept getting up and going in. Yeah, no matter how tired you are.
The only time is sometimes and you guys could see it at home. I get text messages, man, you look tired today. Yeah, you're right, I am.
Like shit, man.
But I never not want to do the job. Sometimes I just hate getting up at 2:20, 2:40. But once I get in the shower, then all of a sudden I'm watching, looking at the DVR from last night. They send a car in the morning and I'm studying. And once I'm in that car ready to go, and I take the train on the way home, but I need to study for those 2 hours, 3 hours. So I have a car in the morning, I'm studying. I never don't want to do it. The only time is sometimes it's tough because you have family events. People don't want, when you're an adult, especially when you're a parent, your life can't shut down at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. And
that's a tough time. Then when the buzzer goes off at 2:20, I'm like, oh my goodness.
How long is the drive? How long is the drive for you to get into work?
45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Oh, okay. I you said 2 to 3 hours. I was like,
no, but then I get to work and I got another 2 hours.
Okay.
I actually get in the building, that type of thing.
Well, all right, brother, man. Get after it. We know you got a busy day. Thank you again for doing this. We'll see you in the morning.
All right.
God bless you. Best of
You have a
family.
better studio than I do. Good job.
Bye, buddy.